Hello there everyone, it's Carol from the Crafty Emporium and welcome back to the second tutorial on envelope journals stroke mini album. So here we are again, happy as could be, oh good fun and jolly good company. Yeah, terrible, right? Well, you'll need pen and paper excuse me, to make some notes. And of course, the all-important brew. Have a little slurp. Ooh, lovely. So I'm just going to quickly go through with you a couple of things that you're going to need for today, and maybe search out for later on. So I'm going to be using this new digital kit of mine, called Vintage Flowers, which is very, very pretty. So it's in a similar style to the one that I used last week, and that's going to be my background paper. So you'll need to source which papers you're going to use, and I need to put them somewhere where I can access them. Let's put them up there, out of the way. You're going to need your envelopes as well. Now, the size of envelopes that I'm using, but as I say, they can be any size that you so wish. These are 5.5 wide by just over 7.5. Okay, so that's the size of envelope that I'm going to use because I think it makes a nice size journal. But of course you can use much smaller and you can have a little diddy journal, or you can use much bigger and have a much bigger journal. Now, I'm going to keep calling it a journal, though in actual fact, as I said in the previous video, this is probably more of a mini album-ish type thing. Because I'm using the black as well, black always lends itself to having photographs on it. So, yeah, and I've decided that I'm going to do the black again because I want to show you how I went about attaching all the ephemera pieces to the black card and what have you. Now, the black card that I'm using is a 210 GSM for us in the UK. That's what we measure our paper with, and I'm using the A4 card, and these were from Hobbycraft. And watch out for these as well, because every so often they put them on sale. I think they're normally like £5 a pack, but occasionally they have them on sale at £2.50. That's when I go in and I go and buy loads. I don't buy them out, but I buy loads. Okay, but we're not going to need those just yet. But if you're going to follow along in a similar fashion to what I'm going to do, then you'll need to think about your envelopes that you're going to use. Now, the kit that I used on this journal was the Forget-Me-Nots and Daffodils, and I actually did contemplate using, I've got a beautiful really dark teal envelope, and I did contemplate using those. Now, by the same token, I could use a coloured envelope again for this one, but I'm going to stick with the black, I think. Yeah, stick with the black, Carol, stick with the black. Okay, so you're going to need a minimum of 6. If you're going to go more than that, I wouldn't actually go too many more, because as you've seen, this I've only filled with parts of ephemera. There's no photographs, there's no written notes in there, and there does come a point where it becomes unrealistic to be able to use it. Okay, so I would just sort of consider that. Another slurp of tea. Sorry, my chest isn't quite so great this morning, so I've got to keep my throat lubricated. Now, the other thing that I'm going to use is my Collal and my tacky glue. Tacky glue and Collal glue. And because I'm using the black cards and envelopes, I'm actually going to ink the edges of my paper up with my black soot distress ink. And what that helps it to do is it helps it to merge and blend into the black background, because otherwise there could be a really stark contrast between the two. Okay, so let's make a start. So we open up the flap and we're going to place glue over the whole of the flap. Oh, you'll have to excuse my nails as well. I was doing coffee dyeing yesterday. So it's not that my nails are full of dirt and gunk, it's coffee. Right, so I'm going to place glue over the whole of the envelope flap. And I'm going as near to the folded edge as I can without going too close, because I don't want the glue to extend beyond when I apply a bit of pressure. And then I'm going to get my next envelope up and open up the flap so that I know that I've got it the right way around, and then I'm going to attach that flap to the underside of this next envelope. Okay, so there's the open bit, and I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to line the base of the envelope up with the line or the crease fold of the flap. So in a sense what you're doing is you're attaching the flap to the front side of the envelope. Can you see that okay? Not that you can let me know, I do realise that. There we go. Alright, so we've now got the pocket side here and the pocket side here, and we're going to repeat that with all 6 of the envelopes. So I'm afraid this is where it now becomes boring for you, because you now need to watch me, or you don't need to, but you're now going to watch me attaching 6 envelopes all in the same fashion. So as I say, we're going up to the line, we're not going on the line. So again, my envelope's open, that's the pocket side, that's the underside, and it's the underside that's going to be attached to the flap. Okay, make sure that they're lined up at the top and at the bottom. Look, my glue's just squidged just a touch. The next one, open up the flap. What was that? That was number 3, wasn't it? Just hum a little tune to yourself, keep yourself entertained for a minute whilst I do this boring bit. That is envelope number 4. Just making sure it's lined up, top and bottom. Number 5. Shall I sing to you? Maybe best not. Bit of glue just come out there. Number 5 and number 6. There we go. Now then, now we've got all 6 attached. We have now got this flap here. Like, what do we do with it? Well, you have a couple of options. One is you can cut it off, but I think that the best thing to do is to actually tuck it inside this part of the envelope here, because it also helps to give this a little bit of extra support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the pocket open, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on. I'm not going to put a lot on, and then maybe a touch down there, and then I'm going to fold that in, so I don't want glue on the front of the, and of course I'm not doing this at the best angle, am I? Come on, here you go. And I always think that with these envelope journals that they need to be quite a nice quality envelope. With the cheap ones, they can rip and tear quite easily, and especially as we're putting a lot of pressure on them, we keep opening them. Now then, that's all 6 of my envelopes now all attached, and you're not going to be able to see obviously all of them all in one go, but that's my 6. Ta-da! Right. Now, one of the weak points is where that fold is. If you have black construction tape, you could put some black construction tape on there. You could put some black, maybe washi tape on there, if you've got any that's not highly decorative or that matches or coordinates with your papers, just to give that area that bit of extra support. You just need to watch that you don't glue down the pockets of the envelope up here, so that the washi tape or whatever tape you use needs to go underneath, inside of the pocket, at the top and at the bottom. You could also attach some on the back here, or not do the other side and just put it on the back, so that it's just giving it that extra support. Now, I don't have any construction tape, it's on the shopping list. I don't actually have any, but I would probably put construction tape on there, as I say, just to help to give those fold marks the extra support, because as I say, envelopes can be a lot thinner paper than normal. Okay. Now then, at the moment, all the pockets are on the right-hand side. If I turn it round, all the pockets are on the left-hand side. So at this point, if you're left-handed, you might want to spin your envelopes around and have all your pockets on the left-hand side, because obviously with you being left-handed, it would be easier for you to remove things from the pockets that way round. Okay, but if you're right-handed, spin around again, you're probably better off with the pockets on the right hand side. Okay, I'm right-handed, so that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to fold that first one over and then under, on top, and then under, and then on top, and then I've got my concertina, so that when I open it up, whether you'll get the full effect, it does that. Okay, so it's all zigzaggy. Okay, so I'll do it again. So this first one goes on top like that, and then this section goes underneath, and then all of this goes on top of that one, and then all of this goes underneath, and then this lot goes on top of that one. Done. Job's a good one. Okay. This part you're not going to see, because we're actually going to put a front cover on there. And if I flip it over, this part you're also not going to see, because we're going to put a cover on that part too. Not part 2, but on that part as well. Now, on some of these pages, I'm going to put a background on. Background meaning it's an all over pattern. Slip of my tea, hang on. My voice starting to go. So this is a very small all over pattern, and it's just to break up the monotony of the patterned papers, because if I use the patterned one that I'm going to use on every single page, it would just look too much. So it just helps to break up the monotony. Okay, so I'm going to use that on some of the pages, and I'm going to use these on some of the other pages, okay, but I need to pick and choose which ones I'm going to do. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do, and I'm hoping that you will be able to see this okay. So if I put that in there, just so as you can see where that flappy bit is, okay, so you've got this shape here. Now we need to be able to get easy access into that pocket. If we cover the whole of the envelope over, the whole of that pocket over with this background paper, we're not going to get access. So when it comes to measuring out what size you need to cut these, there's a couple of options. So let's measure the actual surface area to begin with, and that measures 5.5 inches wide. Now we do need to get access, as I say, so I need to cut it smaller. Now you would think, wouldn't you, that 1/2 inch would probably be enough. Let's have a look at 4. I'm actually going to cut my papers 4 3/4 inches wide. Let me just show you close up so that hopefully you can see it better. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So the actual measurement width of the envelope is 5.5 inches. 5 inches just isn't quite enough to give me enough space here to be able to access into the pocket. But if I go to 4 3/4, you see it's giving me that amount of space to be able to get in. All right. Now top and bottom, I only probably want 1/8 of an inch. So I want to cut my paper 4 3/4 inches. You probably won't be able to see that, will you? By, now this is 7 5/8, so I'm going to take 1/8 off for this end, and I'm going to take 1/8 off for this end. So that's 1, 2. So that takes me down to 7 3/8. Okay, so 7 3/8. So it's 2 notches off your ruler that you're going to take off, because obviously it depends what size envelopes you've got. Okay, and then that will allow me then access into, oh, I've forgotten my paper trimmer. Just hang on a minute. See, I knew I'd forget something. Tell you what else I've forgotten as well. No one reminded me, did they? I forgot my circle punch. You see, now if I was a professional, I'd be organised. Okay, so what do I want? 4 3/4 by 7 3/8. So let's take off that bit, the non-printed bit, to give me a nice straight line. And we'll take this edge off, the non-printed bit, to give me a nice straight line. Okay, so we want this 7 3/8 deep. 7 and 1, 2, 3. So 7 3/8. So that's my depth sorted. I could do with a little bin here. Yeah, if there was enough room. Okay, now the width of my page, I want 4 3/4. 4 3/4. I might as well cut another one whilst I'm here. 4 3/4. Okay. So that will sit on there. So I've got like this 1/8 of an inch here and here and here, and I've still got access here. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to do a very small half circle punch here, so that whatever is poking out of the pocket, I've got somewhere where I can grab. So I'm going to turn my circle punch upside down, I'm just going to eyeball where the centre is. You could measure if you want, but I'm just going to eyeball it. So then when I stick that on there, can you see how I've got this nice big thumb hole now to be able to access the pocket? I'm then going to ink the edges up. So as you can see at the moment, there's a stark contrast between the card and the envelope. But if I just, and I'm only running it off, I'm not circling, I'm just running it off the edge. So now it will merge into the black a little bit easier. So that now when you look at these edges, there's no definite step, it sort of blends in. Now the next thing is, where am I going to put the glue? And this is the bit that really needs to take a little bit of thinking about, because obviously you've got this space down here which is the pocket of the envelope, and you don't always know where the edge of the card is going to come to either. So do you guess? I do tend to, but one of the things that you could do is you could cut a spare piece of card to the same size. So 4 3/4 by 7 3/8. 1, 2, 3. And then trim 1/8 of an inch off that. And 1/8 of an inch off that. I've probably done that a little bit more than 1/8 to be fair. So now you've got a piece of paper that is fractionally smaller than that. Cross fingers. Yep. And then you can use a pencil to draw around that. So I place that on there because I don't want to draw around this because my pencil line will show. But if I draw around that bit, then I know that I need to put glue within that space, and my pencil line will be underneath the actual piece of paper itself. Okay, so I've now got a pencil line on there. I don't know whether you can see that. So I know that my glue can't go beyond that point. And I'm just using my Callel and I'm just following the line of the pocket. I don't want to go too close to the edge because I don't want it oozing out into that pocket area. And then I'm also just going to put a thin line, a thin bead of glue around the 3 sides, not the bit where my thumb hole is, and then I can make sure that the edge of this paper is in contact. Just gone slightly beyond at those 2 points there. Okay, so that's my first one now in place, and I've now got access to be able to get into the pocket, and I haven't glued the pocket this one down onto the pockets of the envelope. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for now. Next video will be coming up very shortly, because there's something else that you can do instead of that technique. Alright, but it now allows you time to go and set your envelopes up, think about your background papers, and get all your bits and pieces together. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.